At its peak, this empire controlled more land than Rome, more wealth than England, more people than all of Europe, combined. And I guarantee your school never once mentioned its name. This is the story of the most powerful civilization in human history, and why they erased it. The Mongols were nomadic tribes scattered across the eastern steppes of Asia. They had no cities, no written language, no standing army. Every surrounding civilization, China, Persia, the Arab caliphates, looked down on them as primitive herders. They were wrong. In less than a generation, those primitive herders would conquer them all. His name was Temüjin, born around 1162 A.D. into a minor clan. By the time he was 10, his father had been poisoned by rivals. His family was abandoned on the steppe to die. He was captured and enslaved as a teenager. He escaped, he rebuilt, he learned, and by 1206, every tribe across the Mongolian plateau had bent the knee to him. They called him Genghis Khan, universal ruler. He was 44 years old, and he was just getting started. In 25 years, the Mongol army conquered more territory than the Roman Empire did in 400. China, Persia, Central Asia, Russia, Poland, Korea. They didn't just win battles, they rewrote the rules of war. The Mongols invented psychological warfare before it had a name. They would release survivors from conquered cities on purpose to spread terror ahead of their advance. Whole cities surrendered without a fight because the alternative was too horrifying to consider. At the Battle of Mohi in 1241, they destroyed a combined Hungarian and Polish army in 2 hours. 2 hours. But here's what your textbook never told you. The Mongols were not just conquerors, they were builders. Under Genghis Khan's successors, they created the Pax Mongolica, the Mongol peace, a period of relative stability across Asia, lasting over a century. They established the world's first international postal system, the YAM, with relay stations every 25 miles across 5,000 miles of territory. They guaranteed safe passage for merchants and diplomats across the entire continent. Marco Polo made his famous journey to China because of Mongol protection. They practiced religious freedom, a concept most of medieval Europe hadn't imagined yet. Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, and shamanists all held positions of power in the Mongol court. They funded hospitals, libraries, astronomical observatories. Under Mongol rule, the cities of Samarkand, Beijing, and Tabriz became the most advanced urban centers on Earth. The Silk Road, the ancient trade network connecting China to Europe, had existed for centuries, but it was fragmented, dangerous, and controlled by dozens of competing powers. The Mongols unified it. For the first time in history, a merchant could travel from the Pacific coast of China to the shores of the Black Sea under the protection of a single political authority. Goods moved, ideas moved, technology moved. The knowledge that sparked the European Renaissance, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, flowed west along Mongol trade routes. The West built a new world using Mongol roads, so why do we remember them only as destroyers? Because Western historians needed a narrative. The Mongols were the outsiders, the pagans from the East. They didn't fit the story that civilization flows from Greece to Rome to Europe. And so the libraries they funded were forgotten. The tolerance they practiced was ignored. The trade they enabled was attributed to others. What remained was the violence, real, undeniable, and terrible, but stripped of all context. Rome killed millions. The Crusades slaughtered entire cities. The British Empire starved continents. But we study Rome, celebrate the Crusades in art, and put British kings on our currency. The Mongols were erased because their existence complicated the story. At its height, the Mongol Empire covered 24 million square kilometers, 16% of all land on Earth, more than any empire before it, more than any empire since. They connected the world for the first time. They built the first global trade network. They created the conditions for the Renaissance, for the age of exploration, for the modern era. And we barely remember their name. So the next time someone tells you that civilization was built by the West, ask them who built the roads that got them there. If this is the kind of history they don't teach you in school, subscribe, because this is just the beginning. Is